Hi there, I'm Tara from Wild Bird Farm. I garden here in Zone 5 in central Iowa. Today, blustery, cold January day. I am not heading outside. Our wind chills are -30 Fahrenheit. So while I'm staying indoors, I am dreaming and planning for our next garden season, making some notes and looking back over last year's bouquets. Now, there is one simple thing that I noticed both in my landscape beds and in my bouquet making that was just a game changer for me that I thought I've got to hop on here and talk a little bit about this. So first off, I have an example. I'm going to play it now. You see if you can pick out what the big game changer is. And then after that, we're going to talk all about simple ways you can implement it in your garden or in your cut flower garden for bouquets. Here's a bouquet I put together late last summer. It's beautiful. There's absolutely nothing wrong with it. It's a nice variety of colors. But when I start adding in different white blooming flowers, look what happens. I just think this takes an okay bouquet and elevates it all the way up to just an absolutely gorgeous bouquet. I'm adding in probably about 5 pieces of white. And you'll see here in a bit, I know not everyone likes Queen Anne's lace, so I pull that out and I replace it with some other whites just to give you a little bit different look with the same bouquet. Okay, here comes that switch up where I pull out the Queen Anne's lace and pop in some other whites. Let me know, what do you think? Do you see a big difference when adding white in? Here I swapped it out with some white status. So easy enough, right? Add in some white flowers in your garden beds and in your cut garden for bouquets. So I have a whole list I've made here of what I grew last year and in years past and what I have to have on my growing list this year. So I'm going to mostly focus on cut flowers, but a lot of these work great in landscape beds, and there's definitely some options that you can easily add there as well. So first off, let's talk about focal flowers. Now, while I don't think you necessarily need white focal flowers, I have a few here, and I'm just going to run down from early season to late season what I find myself using. The first is the panda bear anemones. Those are the white anemones with the dark blue black center. Easy way to add a pop of white into those early season bouquets. Of course, you can also pick some tulip varieties that are white. I think you can find them definitely in singles, doubles, and fringe, and I'm pretty sure parrot tulips you can find a white as well. I definitely have white varieties out in my peony area, and they're always very popular and easy to add into bouquets. Moving more into the summer months, there are lots of different types of large zinnias that can act as focals in your bouquets. There's also smaller varieties like the Oklahoma series that add a nice pop of white while not necessarily being a focal. And then, of course, to round out our late summer into fall dahlias, there are some beautiful varieties. 2 of my favorites are the Boom Boom White and the Blizzard. Both of these are large blooms and definitely act as a focal in your bouquets. Now, as I mentioned, you don't have to have white focals in order to add that pop into your landscape and bouquets. So I have a whole list of great options from early season all the way to the end of the season that you can use out in your garden. Now, a couple of them, I grabbed some seed packets here. One is the Covent Garden Baby's Breath. Really easy to grow. I direct sow this. It adds a nice little sparkly pop of white in bouquets. And as we run through the list here, a lot of the varieties I like to use are similar to this. They add a little bit of flow and movement in your bouquets while also adding that pop of white. Another one I fell in love with, Nicole from Flower Hill Farm recommended this Coreopsis a couple seasons ago. And while it has a dark center, another one that is very easy to start in plug cell trays and plant out, or direct sow, bountiful blooms, and just adds that little bit of movement in bouquets. Of course, we have Orlea, which blooms very early for me, especially if planted in the hoop house, and gives that ethereal quality to bouquets. Agrostemma comes a little bit later in the season, but that bright white pearl variety is just awesome in bouquets. Of course, feverfew, snapdragons, and cosmos help bridge that gap from late spring throughout summer. Another easy one to start from seeds is pearl yarrow. So it has a little bit of a different form than what you generally think of when you think of the perennial yarrow. This has a little bit more like a small feverfew type look, but they're beautiful. I actually planted quite a bit of the pearl yarrow in my landscape beds this year, hoping that it just kind of gives an airy cloud-like pop of white again in the garden. All right, in addition to those that we've talked about, Status, also a great one, easy to start from seed. You can get that in a white variety. And also Strawflower. They have an antique white and I think a little bit brighter white. Also great options to add into your cutting garden for bouquets or just in your landscape. And then another that I will mention, I planted out several plugs of Powwow white coneflower last year. I think I had 25 plugs. I just plugged them in all over my garden beds, but that's a great one that kind of works dual duty. You can enjoy them in your garden or you can add them to your cut bouquets. Same thing with hydrangeas. I've been adding those around our farm. Those are great puffs of white, both in your landscape and also that you can cut. There are white varieties of lilacs, all sorts of things. You can get creative, especially if you're looking for some more options to put out in your landscape. That about does it for me. Let me know down below what your favorite white can't live without flowers are, whether that be something for your landscape or an annual that you're planting specifically for cut flowers. I'm interested in all of it, so leave me those comments below. Until next time.